Good morning, Vin Nation, or should I say good afternoon for us folks here on the East Coast. So my name is Kevin Hudak. I'm a Senior Performance Manager with VinSolutions. First of all, I'm really excited to be here. Even more excited that y'all chose to spend some time with me and hopefully take away some nuggets back to the dealership that'll help you, grow your business. So I'll start off with some housekeeping here. So number one, we will be recording this. Number two, throughout, if you have any questions or anything comes up or maybe I went too fast and you want me to revisit something afterwards, please enter that into the question box there and I'll recover it. So I'll have a little Q&A at the end. So how many of you right now are sitting in the dealership thinking about it being the end of the month and we might be a handful of units behind? Or worse yet, everybody's stressed out, running around, hair on fire because we've got these, 12 deals that are pending, and we think 9 of them are going to go before the end of the month in the next 3 days. And think about that scenario, and then look back at the beginning of the month and think, what could we have done to potentially prevent this? What could we have done to paint a different picture here? What could we have done differently to put us in a position that we are exceeding our goal with 3 days left in the month? And then you start feeling that added pressure that's coming down from leadership that's like, oh, wow, team, you guys are, doing really good. Let's keep our foot on the gas and maybe we can get to this, best month ever. And then you start thinking to yourself, boy, if I get to the best month ever, then next year I'm gonna have to try even harder and get to that next level, right? Or next month, or however y'all, look month over month or previous year, right? Which at the end of the day is a good thing because we all make more money when that's all said and done. So today we're going to talk about inspecting reports, leveraging your coaching dashboards in an effort to sell more cars. So today's agenda, we're going to talk through 4 different reports in here. We have a dealership performance report. I want you to think of that as like a, 30,000 foot view. We're going to talk through the enterprise performance report, and that's going to be more of the 10,000, 5,000 foot view. Actually, you can get really granular with this report and really dig in to see what's going on with the store. Then we're going to talk about 2 tools. So maybe not reports, but tools that are a report that allow you to identify those customers in your CRM, in your database that your team needs to pay close attention to and how they can kind of monitor their business. So these first 2 reports that we're going to talk about, I think of them the whole inspection process, right? We're going to inspect what we expect. So, and in order to do that, we've got to make sure everybody's on the same page. Everybody's inspecting that same thing. So consider some of you on this call might be the ones that are creating these reports and that are sharing them with the team or with our executive leaders, right? And sometimes we're getting data from this one report over here and we're collecting it from another report over here. And at the end of the day, we're combining, we're putting together this really nice spreadsheet that we put a lot of time and effort into. And I can tell you, I was guilty of this when I was in the dealership, where I would collect all of this data. And sometimes the data that got in the spreadsheet may have been manipulated just a little bit, and it may have made me look a little bit better, right? Not saying that happens all the time, but it could happen, right? And when that happens, at the end of the day, that doesn't help us grow the business. That doesn't help us make money, right? We got to have the actual facts, the actual numbers that come out of the CRM. And I think it's really important that we maintain a level of consistency here. So we have that dealership performance report. That's the one and all that we should consider everybody on the same page looking at. And then we're going to talk through the enterprise performance report to be able to identify any weaknesses that we see on this dealer performance report. The second part of this call, we're going to talk through improving the performance. So Salesperson Coaching Dashboard and yesterday's action items. So I'll give you a nice clean list of things to really focus on every single day. So the first one we're going to talk through is this dealership performance, right? It's that overview, the executive leadership report that would be a good one for us to look at on a consistent basis. This particular report can be scheduled, so it can be the whole inspect what you expect I mentioned before. Bring out this level of consistency where it's showing up in your team's inbox on a regular day, right? We can schedule it to people's emails, whether that be the GM, GSM, desk managers, right? Get everybody marching to the same drums. So this particular report lives in your insights. You click into dashboards once you're in insights, and that's where you find it. Like all of our reports, I'm sure you know, once you find those reports and insights, you can click the little heart and then make it a favorite. I didn't want to go into all of those details on the slide, so I have just the report pulled up here in the top portion of the report. So it's going to break it down into the dealership summary at the top, so it gives you a nice overview. Again, that 20,000 foot view, the high level. How is the store performing? And I can break it down new versus used. And then right below that, we're able to see the kind of the lead type and how we're performing. So it's going to break it down between internet and then phone and walk-in. And I recognize phone and walk-in is not displayed on the screen. So for today, we're going to talk through just the internet. So I might look at this report, and again, we're going to be looking at this on a regular basis, and we're going to identify, look, we've got new inventory in the internet leads is not performing well. We're at 7%, right? And we want to, our goal is to improve that, right? Now we might talk about industry standards, and I'm sure that question is going to come up what the industry standard is. I think for your store, what's important is you identify where you are today and then set the next goal and a stretch goal. So if we're at 7% today, maybe our goal by the end of the month or in 60 days or 90 days, right, would be to be at 10%. And then the next, and our stretch goal would be 15%, right? So we're going to keep shooting for that number, but we're going to consistently look at this report. I mentioned before scheduling it. I think that's the best way to handle this so everybody's looking at the same things. This report also includes some task data and things like that. So it's a really great thing to look at. It also prints really nicely on like one sheet. So I think when I was in the dealership, when I started looking at these reports, inevitably somebody would walk through my door, right? Somebody would walk through, or someone would come up and ask me for my help, and I'd have to stop and get out of that screen and go to something else and start looking at this customer that needs my attention or something like that. And then I may not circle back to this, or I may lose my train of thought. So really good when you might consider like printing out, throwing it on your desk, and then you can write notes on it as you kind of scan through this one to determine where you are and what needs my attention, right? So the next one that we're going to talk through is that enterprise performance. So in that first dealership performance, we identify where our problem is. We want it, or our opportunity, I should say. We want to improve internet closing percentage. So in enterprise performance, this is a report that can drill down and see exactly who or what may be causing us to bring that closing percentage down. So internet or enterprise performance report is a very dynamic report now. So this report, newer, it'll live in your insights. If you go to insights and you click on the most popular category there and the filters on the left-hand side, you'll see it's in there, and it really is going to replace, or is replaced, many of the reports in there due to these dynamic fields that we have in here. And what I'm talking through when I say dynamic fields, I'm talking about summary options. So I've had it highlighted on the screen here. The summary options allow me to look at a more granular level. So I can look at just the specific leads, individual lead types, or I might break it down into my users. And then you could see the other options on here where you can look at specific users, specific user groups is an option there. You see where I have lead type. I can tell the report, hey, only show me the internet leads. Date range, things like that are all a part of this particular report now. Once I do have what I'd like to see on the screen, being that I'm going to select just the internet leads, and I'm going to go into looking at, I'm going to add users to that summary option, then I would get this particular view. So I've got the username would be there on the left, and then I could identify, right, this particular user I have highlighted has 53 leads. He's only sold one car. I can see that he's not sending any text messages out, right? He's making some calls, but he's not selling enough cars. So I can quickly identify that, hey, this is the person that might need my attention. And this is the person that I can coach up and move them to that next level, right? So we're able to look at that and identify that this is the person that needs my help. So I start with the dealership performance report, or dashboard. I drill in through enterprise performance and diagnose that this is the salesperson that needs my attention. So what do I do next? So the next thing that we do is start using some of the tools that we have out there. And one of those tools that I had mentioned before is this coaching dashboard. So the coaching dashboard. So tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, but involve me and I learn. So this is a perfect opportunity for managers to be really involved with their sales team. So some of y'all might have one-on-ones out there, right? We meet with the salespeople. You guys are probably thinking, yeah, we do one-on-ones, but we don't do them often enough. Or yes, we do one-on-ones, but maybe they're sporadic. Maybe they're inconsistent. Maybe it's like the flavor of the week, right? Like we're going to talk about just this one thing this week, and the next week we're going to talk about this other thing. There's really no clear path for the salesperson to follow, or a strategy for them to follow, right? But with this coaching dashboard, it's going to really allow you to work together as a team with your salespeople. So when I say that, salespeople have access to this coaching dashboard that I'm going to go through, and we're going to go through it in detail here in just a minute. But they have access to look at their book of business, is how I like to describe it. And it should really be something that they're looking at daily. They should be working off of their coaching dashboard every day to identify all of their opportunities, not just their task screen, right? Your sales team's coming in there, they're pulling up their task screen, they're doing all of those things by a certain amount of time, and they're like, yes, I'm done for the day, I've done all my tasks, right? It doesn't mean that's all of their customers that are in the market. There's still customers that are out there that might need their attention based on where they are in the buying cycle, right? So this allows you to work with them on that. So if I'm going to do a one-on-one, this allows you to be organized, and it allows you to have the same format. So managers will be looking at this coaching dashboard as well as the salesperson. And it might be a situation where you involve that salesperson here. So we're going to not just call them up to my desk like we're accustomed doing, and hey, Kevin, come over here, sit down, let's look at this together. And Mr. Manager is sitting there, BD manager, whoever's sitting there driving on the computer saying, hey, what's going on with this customer? What's going on with that customer? What's going on with this customer, right? We want to involve them. So we want to teach them to click through the same areas that I'm going to teach you today to go clicking through. Kind of an efficient way to look at this, because there's a lot to it. So I used to think when I was on the desk, sometimes I would get trapped, right? I'm trapped on the desk, and just one person after another sitting there. I haven't left in like 3 hours. I need to get up and stretch my legs. So that stretch your legs type of time might be you go sit next to a salesperson and sit down next to them and have them pull up their coaching dashboard and walk and teach them to click on these different things that we're going to click through here. So today we're going to talk through this coaching dashboard, and I'm going to talk through as if we're working with another salesperson. We're going to call a salesperson named Mark. So Mark is a salesperson today. So the first thing I would teach Mark is, hey, Mark, go in there when you pull up your coaching dashboard. Oh, this lives in your insights. So in your salespeople all have access to insights. They don't need any special access. They just click into insights and they'll see coaching dashboard salesperson as well as coaching dashboard BD agent. So the next place they're going to click is right here, this little gear, the settings gear. We call it the edit parameter in VinTalk, but it's the settings gear. They're going to click it. It says edit, and then they can pull up and they'll be able to edit. I would suggest that they change the date range to the previous 30 or 60 days. And the reason being is we want to see all of their past showroom visits and appointments, right? We want to see all of their opportunities. And if they're still active, it doesn't make sense for us to call them. Maybe a 60-day-old lead doesn't make sense to call them. Maybe it does, right? We'll talk through that here in a minute. So when I pull it up the top of this screen, and the way the coaching dashboard works is you just scroll down. So as I'm going through this, each screen that I'm showing you here, it's just going to be me scrolling my cursor down as if I was doing it live, right? So it'll show you how many sales they have in the time frame, this little sales graph here as far as where they're tracking versus last month. If you have automotive intelligence, this is huge for you. This is where you delegate this down to the sales staff and make sure that they're looking at those customers that are out there shopping right now, right? Those are your really, really active people that you probably should be calling out. One of them down there in the customers to investigate, right? If he's got 24 customers with no active leads, probably want to go look at those folks because they're out shopping. They're your customer at one time. So after we get through that, I'm going to talk through what I feel is like the most important part, or the first click, right, that I'm going to click into. So you see these columns up here. It's called active leads without recent engagement. And then there's a blue line under active leads with engagement. And then you see active leads without future follow-up. So each one of those represent a different type of list of customers. So right now I have highlighted on here active leads with engagement. So if a salesperson is going to sell somebody a car, what do they have to do with that customer before they sell them a car? Well, they've got to talk to them, right? We've got to have some type of back and forth. We've got to be actively engaged with these particular folks. So if there's a salesperson's pipeline, this is it. This is the list. Whether there's a task or no task firing today, these customers need our attention. And as a manager or anybody helping these folks find a car deal, right? Because that's what we're doing when we do these one-on-ones. We're trying to help them find a car deal. And at the same time, it gives you the ability to hold them accountable, to remind them why we do these things, why we're going to stay in front of these customers. So if I look at these active leads with engagement, I can see to the left there above all of their names, it shows row count 7. So he's got 7 customers, 7 active customers that he's got in his pipeline right now. Now, if we disagree with that and we're like, listen, Mark, you've got to have way more opportunities than 7. You're not going to make your 20 car goal this month if you're only talking to 7 people in the last 7 days. I forgot to mention that. Engagement means 7 days. So he's either not logging all of his opportunities, or he just doesn't have enough opportunities, right? So one of those two things. So when I'm looking at this, I'm going to analyze closely to what I have circled there, right? Last attempted contact. So these folks, it's been 9/2, right? Was the last time we attempted contact. He called them all in one day, so that's good. Now, if it were, a couple days later, I can easily identify who he's not following up with. And there's going to be a point where you all get salespeople that have way more than 7, right? We've got 35, 45 opportunities, right, that are in here. When that happens, you'll see right below all of their names, it says show all. You would just click that and it gives you a nice grid of all of the customers that are in this particular category. And you can even sort on the last attempted contact. So I would sort by that and I put all the people that need my attention right at the top of that list. Well, to the left of this column, I called out at the beginning here, active leads without recent engagement. So those are the folks that he's not had 2-way communication with in the last 7 days. So think of that category of folks being moved over to the active leads with engagement, right? So we're going to move those customers over. So I'm going to move down. So I leave my lead section. I'm going to leave my lead section and scroll down to the appointment section. So the appointment section is going to show you, and again, this is going to show you the last 30 days. So in the last 30 days, Mark, you've only set 11 appointments, right? In a 30-day window. So if your goal is to sell 20 cars a month and you're closing, let's say 50% of those, how many customers do you need appointments on, right? You need 40. So you're not going to get there with this particular activity. So we're going to push them as far as that goes, but we're also going to leverage this data in here, that last attempted contact, to identify customers that could be slipping through the cracks and coach them up on how we could be talking to them. So you see there, it's got future appointments, unsold appointments, active leads, and then missed appointments. So again, the bar is highlighted under unsold appointments. So that's what we're looking at here. Last attempted contact, I can quickly identify David Dobson, the very bottom customer, right? We've not reached out to that customer since 7/31, right? It's been a long time. It's been a week or 2 since we called them, right? Let's talk through a game plan. What's going on with this particular customer? And you can click into David Dobson, and it'll take you right to their into the profile and develop a plan for what's going to happen next. So start thinking about this as a funnel as I go through this. So I start with those active leads at the top, and I'm going to move them down. I'm moving those active leads with engagement into an appointment. And from an appointment, I'm going to move them down in the showroom visit, right? How many customers do we have in showroom visits, right? And look, Mark's at 85 total visits in the last 30 days, but only 11 appointments. Clearly, he's not logging his opportunities, right? Again, I'm going to go through here. I'm going to coach him up on following up with these folks. Maybe, and you're going to find maybe salespeople don't like calling customers after showroom visits because they were already told no and they don't know what to say. They don't have that confidence to say. So this is a great time for the manager to pick up the phone, call with the customer, right? Call and say whatever we need to do to get them to be bought back in, right? And maybe it's a text message. Maybe a more efficient way, a way that you might get a better response would be a text message. But again, last attempted contact, I'm analyzing who's slipping through the cracks. I'm holding them accountable to make these phone calls and talk through that with me. So moving on from showroom visits, we're going to start talking about some more like reporting that your salesperson can see on their own. Because remember, they're able to look at this information without having to rely on you to serve them up a report in Monday's meeting or Saturday's meeting, right? So number one, we're looking at tasks, right? All the way to the left there, tasks. He's got 1,400 dismissed tasks. So what is a task to y'all, right? Is it just this optional thing that we think is a good idea to call the customer because it might help us sell cars? Or is this our playbook? Is this what we expect? If you want to work at ABC Motors, you're going to do this playbook here that we've spent the time to develop, right? A huge benefit of VinSolutions is you have so much flexibility in your processes. You can change them on the fly, right? If something's not working, I can go in there and change it today, and then tomorrow it's going to be a little bit different. We can identify those things. So if you spent the time to really get your processes working for you, this should not happen. We've got to be all over that. We've got to make sure that they're completing all of these tasks, those really important touch points. Then how about this next column, contact info capture on leads with visits? What's the primary way people communicate in 2021? We pick up the phone and call our friends and family members all the time now? No, right? We text, right? The majority of the time we are texting. The primary form of communication is text messages, no different with your customers. So it's so important that we get these customers to opt in to text messaging. And I know some of you are thinking that, well, my sales team does a great job of texting and they just use their cell phone. Well, consider everything that we just talked about in the slides above with last attempted contact in allowing you to quickly and easily identify who they're not following up with. If they're texting through their phone, you lose all of that ability as a manager. And salespeople lose that ability for them to keep themselves organized as well. We've got to push them to make sure they're getting customers opted in or opting the customer in to text. And this section right here, contact capture leads with visits. These folks are in your showroom floor. So if you do have where the customer has to reply back yes to text, this is a place where we should be near 100%. Because if I sit down with a customer and I haven't built enough rapport with them in that first 10 minutes of the process starting or the time that I've spent with them to get them to opt into text message, I know right then and there it's going to be an uphill battle to sell a car, right? So hold them accountable to get them opted in. Desk managers, they come to get numbers from you. Hey, Mark, did you opt that customer in a text message? And some word tracks that you might take back to your staff are, Mr. Customer, I'm going to text you my contact info, right? Maybe like an electronic business card. Let me text you my business card. Let me text you my contact info. Just reply back yes, so you have it. That way, if at any time during today's visit you need me, maybe I'm trying to find a car or I'm scraping snow or ice off of a car, you can shoot me a quick text if you change your mind. Maybe you want to see a different color, right? You just let me know, right? Anytime, I'll be here for you. So really, really important. I can't stress or urge that enough. And text, pictures, and videos, I'm going to throw that out there. It's 2021. All we do is consume video all day long on our phones. So please urge your team to text pictures and videos. Offer that as well. I can text you additional pictures and videos. Internet response time, I think we all understand how that works. Sentiment there, if you have the AI tool, the Automotive Intelligence, that'll tell you, hey, do I have any negative comments? Have I heard any negative things from customers? And it would all show up there neatly organized for you. All right, I'm going to scroll one more section down here, kind of wrap us up on the coaching dashboard. And that's going to be getting down to the bottom portion of it where it shows you the internet sales funnel, how many folks they have. It shows you lead type performance there. You see I've got one, phone, one circled. That's, again, this reporting that salespeople can look at on their own now. In the past, they really didn't have access to a lot of reporting. They waited for us to show it to you. So Mark, why have you logged only one phone up? Right? Not okay. You got 64 walk-ins, only one phone up. What happened to all of those other customers that you wrote down on a piece of paper that said they were coming in that didn't come in, that we can't analyze together? We can't go back and search. to find a car deal, right? We're going to leverage the top portion of this coaching dashboard, those appointments, and see who are in there. So I might coach them up there. And then finally, again, this road to the sale down towards the bottom. These are the buttons that your managers are clicking when you're closing showroom visits. So if this whole exercise is about, hey, Mark, let's go sit down, look at your coaching dashboard and find a car deal today, right? That's our goal. We got to find a car deal today. Find a couple opportunities that yield a car deal today, right? So if I'm looking down at this section, if I click into desking, if we're diligent about clicking the desking box when we end a showroom visit, this allows me to pull up all of those customers that had deal desked. It'll give me a neatly organized list that I can click through and see who's still active. And maybe I revisit that showroom visit from 30 or 59 days ago. Maybe an incentive change from 59 days ago, and I can, recall that customer. Oh, and by the way, last attempted contact that I mentioned before, right? It shows up on that report, so you'll be able to easily identify, who you're talking to. So coaching dashboard, great place to coach up that one salesperson that's bringing down that area of opportunity that you've identified. Or better yet, your whole staff, right? Improves communication between the desk and your sales team. Improves their paychecks when you're starting able to find a couple extra car deals in here, right? Happier employees, less turnover, all those great things. So I'm going to move into what I started mentioning before was another report for us, and that's the yesterday's action items. So who here has that consistent plan? When I come into work, I know when I come into work, I'm going to look at, my unanswered email replies. I'm going to look at the appointments for the day, right? I'm going to look at if I have any kind of email or text replies I need to do, right? So who does that every single day? And then I'm going to look at this other report. Or are we going in and we're just looking at the desk league and just the new leads for today? Well, if you don't have a plan, this is a good place to start looking at yesterday's action items every day. And if you do have a plan, it might be a good idea to add this one to it. So before I start talking through what yesterday's action items looks like, I'd like to talk about this 48-hour sense of urgency, right? So if I were to analyze probably many of your stores that are on here today, if I were to analyze those, and you can do this too, this report that I'm looking at is called Lead Source Performance. This is showing us the sold volume versus days to sell. So that fun little graph down there shows us, between day 0 and 1. So from the time the lead entered VinSolutions, day 0 to 1 day, the next day, our dealership sold 1,200 cars. Between day 1 and 3, 470. 3 to 7, 354, right? So what it really illustrates here is that first 48 hours of a lead coming in is clearly our highest closing percentage of leads coming in. So that being said, does it make sense for your processes to get a manager involved 4 days later? Does it make sense for a showroom visit that goes unsold, or a walk-in traffic showroom visit go unsold, manager get involved 2 or 3 days later? No, right? I think we need to make sure we have this 48-hour sense of urgency where we can capitalize on all of these opportunities that come in. So let's get into this action items from yesterday. Totally get it right now, right? You guys are probably looking at this thinking that this thing looks like an eye chart, right? There's a lot of columns on here. You can see I have customer names blurred out and stuff like that. But what I'm looking at here, look at the lead info. So a lot of these leads all started the day before, right? So I'm able to quickly identify like who is that truly that fresh lead. Other things I'm going to pay close attention to is what vehicle they're on, right? I know inventory is tight in a lot of places. I'll take a look at this one that I've got highlighted here with the trade of the Odyssey, right? It's got the Volkswagen Atlas. Maybe I've got a ton of Atlas right now. That's the customer that as a manager, I'm going to make sure I dig into. Whereas that 2017 Camaro that's up top, maybe that thing sold last night. It doesn't need my attention. But I also see that, oh, wow, it's got a trade and we didn't appraise it yet. Well, why not? We need inventory. Every customer that comes in, we got to give every customer all of the pieces of the puzzle when they get here, right? Even if they say they're really not interested, yeah, it's, if you got a good process, I call it the parallel process, where you're getting those trade keys early in the process, and even they're not a shopper, well, let me just give you a free appraisal. We buy cars too. You can take this to the next dealership, right? I'm sure we're going to be more money. Whatever we got to do to get those keys early on and get that trade appraised, so that the customer has a full picture when they leave with numbers and everything, right? And then at the end of this report here, have they been contacted yet today, right? Look at this, all of these not yet, not yet, not yet. So if we're looking at this early in the day, I'm gonna formulate a game plan. I'm gonna call out the salespeople, make sure you follow up with these folks, make sure you follow up with these folks. And I'm gonna consider looking at this later in the day. Maybe I look at this at, after lunch every day. I'm like a creature of habit, right? So back in the dealership, right after lunch, I would always come back from lunch and make a quick run through the reconditioning process, right? Check in with detail, check in with service, and then back to my desk. It was just like, my habit that I did every single day. So this would be a good habit for desk manager where I'm going in and I'm looking at this every day and I'm making sure that those boxes are checked at the end with yeses. All of these customers are followed up. The next section, and this works just like the coaching dashboard, you just scroll down, are going to be your internet leads that you made contact with yesterday, but could not convert to an appointment. So if I'm a manager, do I want to get involved on some of these? Maybe I've got a BDC that does a wonderful job. However, I know that this first 48 hours are critical, so maybe I just threw out that manager intro text. Hey, I'm the manager. I see you're working with Mark. Do you have any additional questions that haven't been answered yet? Right? Maybe they're waiting for something from Mark and he hasn't got back to them, but they get back to you, right? And consider this: if your customer is shopping you and they're shopping the competition, your dealership gets manager involvement early. They make that customer feel special. They feel like the customer feels like you're really trying to earn their business. Do you have the advantage over the competition? And then consider the opposite of that. If you don't do that and the competition is, are you losing car deals because of it, right? So same principle here. Has anybody contacted them yet today? I'm going to look at this later in the day and make sure that everybody's followed up with. I'm going to make sure if I've got a trade in there, I'm all over that. I'm going to look at those vehicles that the customer is interested in. And if we have something, maybe it's an aged unit, I'm getting involved in that. Maybe it's something that I have a ton of right now that I need to sell. I'm going to get involved. Maybe it's a 2020, right? I still got 2020 models on my lot. I need to get rid of those. Maybe that's the one I'm going to click onto. And maybe there's a day when Mr. and Mrs. Desk Manager comes in and they can't look at all of these things. You have the option to pick and choose a handful of them, right? The most important ones. As we continue to work through this report, we're now going to get into the phone opportunities. So phone ups that came up yesterday, pretty important. If I were to ask you the question, who do we think is a hotter lead? The customer that picked up the phone and called us, or the customer that pushed a button and sent an internet lead in? The majority of the responses is always that phone opportunity, right? And then consider, am I confident in how my team handles phone ups? And if I've got a newer team or I've got some turnover, I think I should probably get involved in phone ups the next day. Again, that 48-hour window we know is the hottest. So same old intro manager call. Is my team answering all your questions? How can I help? Things like that, right? You got that previous customer on there, and that's throughout the whole report. If I've got previous customers, I want to look at those. Again, have we attempted contact them yet? All right, next section, missed appointments from yesterday. Same deal, hold them accountable, find out who we need to reach out to. Do I have a specific vehicle that I need to sell? Are the team, is the customer rescheduled or not, right? And we've got unanswered email replies. I mentioned it earlier. Maybe this is something you're looking at every day, unanswered email and text replies. It should be, it's gotta be. I'm telling you, I log into stores every day and I see you all ignoring customers every day, or your team ignoring customers every day. Customers been asking for what the price of running boards and a bed liner is for the last 10 days. And we say, yeah, I'll get back to you. Or, oh, I'm so sorry, I was busy. I'm still waiting to get back to you. And then it's still 10 days later, we've not gotten back to this customer. Oh, by the way, that customer told us they're interested in financing the vehicle. They've settled on a black one. They just need to know what you can do for me for running boards and a bed liner. Not, can you throw them in for me? Nothing like that. And the customers reach out 3 times and we've ignored them, right? So I see that stuff like that daily where we're not monitoring these things close enough and these customers are just sitting there waiting on responses. In today's day and age, especially text replies, text reply is implied that it should be quick, right? Emails, I think customers get it. They could be within the hour, but text replies need to be high priority. And y'all need to make sure your team has their alerts turned on. So they can get an alert through their mobile device in a text message, or even consider turning on the alerts through the app. So in the app, there's in the settings section, you can turn on those alerts so that it comes over as a push notification. It makes it so easy to reply back to those customers through those push notifications then. You can see where the due date is on these things too. So some of them are way past due. Consider anything over the current day that you're on needs to be addressed first thing in the morning. Also push your team. Good customer service is and closing the conversation loop. Customer says, thank you. We reply back with you're welcome. Customer says, I bought a car someplace else. No, thank you. I'm so sorry to hear that. Can't wait to earn your business next time, right? We constantly have the last word. That's good customer service, right? We've got to protect our reputation here, right? That is our reputation out there. All right, so here are your takeaways for today, right? So one, dealership performance dashboard, leverage that thing, get everybody on the same page, and focus on one number, pick something to work on for a month, 60, 90 days, and pick some goals that are based on where you already are, right? And then maybe a stretch goal later. Enterprise performance report, get in there, work with your performance manager. If you need help, that report is really dynamic. Change those summary options and play with it and see what it does, the numbers on the screen as you go through and change it. By the way, it's all drillable now, which is amazing. So I can click in there and I can see the number of whatever I want to see. I can click on it and I can get a list of those customers. You've got the coaching dashboard. If your sales team is not looking at it daily, you are missing opportunities. I promise you. There's so much value to that. And salespeople, once they embrace it, I'll remind you, it's hard. There's a lot to it. So it's going to take your team to go through it a couple times with them to teach them to click into those active leads with engagements first, right? And really push those customers down the funnel like we talked about. And then that yesterday's action items, desk manager's best friend, utilize it, find those opportunities, and capitalize on them. So thank you so much. Absolute pleasure talking to you all today. If you have any additional questions after our Q&A here afterwards, my email address is on there. Feel free to reach out. With that being said, thank you so much. We'll go ahead and open up to any questions. So Brent, do we have any questions or anything like that today?
We have a few questions today. The hottest question is, where is the report? And I believe it's the action items report or the previous day's action item report found. It says, where is this report in Insights? So can you walk them through how to find that action item report?
Yeah, absolutely, Brent. So that if you were to go into Insights and then click on all in the filters, and then just type in the word yesterday, it should populate there for you. And then if you click the little heart, it'll put it right in your favorites.
Okay.
Always going to default. Let me call out one other thing here, Brent.
Go ahead.
Default to yesterday. So if you're looking at Monday, you need to see Saturday's numbers, which many of you do. I've got a custom report that'll do that for you. So my email is there. If you email me that you'd like I'll call it the 2-day action item, so I can always see Saturdays. I call it like 2-day for Mondays or something like that. Email me and I'll make sure that you get that set up for you.
Perfect. I'm sure a lot of people would love to have that report or any custom reports that you have. So another question that we had is from Heidi, and she asked, if a manager is dismissing tasks, does it show under the salesperson name in the coaching dashboard?
It will. Yep.
Okay.
It will show up there. So we know, sometimes managers play favorites and they dismiss all of Kevin's tasks. So we think Kevin's doing a wonderful job, but maybe Kevin's missing opportunities.
I've been in the car business a long time. I've never known a manager to play favorites. It doesn't happen. I think that's a myth. All right. The next one is, well, that one's more of a, where can I get a copy of this presentation? So this will be loaded to the client resource page, which I believe is in the VinSolutions. I'm a DMS man, so I'm not sure where that refers to. Maybe you can help me out there, Kevin. But there will also be an encore presentation of this on the 23rd at 2 p.m. Eastern, if that will help as well. So where is the client resource page? Is that in your knowledge base, or where does that live? Do you know?
I believe it's on VinSolutions.com up in the top right.
Okay, perfect. So from Heidi again, why are there bad leads in the list of internet leads contacted yesterday with no appointment?
Because sometimes it's there for visibility, Heidi. Sometimes you may have an agent marking things bad. And look, if your team connected with that customer and they spoke with that customer and the team still marked them bad, you might want to put your eyeballs on that and just go look at that customer. Make sure that, maybe your team, the customer said, I'm not interested in that particular vehicle right now, or something along those lines. Or maybe the vehicle just sold that day, so your team marked it bad since they felt like it shouldn't be an opportunity for them. Right? That'll affect your closing percentage. And more importantly, you'll never market to that customer again. We don't really typically market to bad leads. So visibility is the end answer.
So this falls under the inspect what you expect kind of a adage there, right? Just to make sure that everything is as it should be. Okay. So from Deborah, why would ours be showing no unanswered email replies in the last 10 days? I know we have unresponded emails this morning.
We could look into that. If they've replied to all of the emails up until this point, it should show in there.
So that would be
you can Deborah, you can cross-reference that by going to, unanswered email and text replies. That's a standalone report in VinSolutions that lives in the most popular category as well, and just see if there's any in there. And if there's still an issue, feel free to reach out to me, or support would be able to help you as well, if there's something going on in your particular store.
Okay, perfect. Let's see. Can we aggregate a week's worth of reporting? This comes from David.
Yeah, the answer is yes. So when you say aggregate, we just want to see additional date ranges or a specific report. I guess I'd have to find out a little more details for you, but we can pretty much almost do anything with reporting. My reporting team is probably cringing right now when I say that, but if it's a real specific, Dave, again, feel free to email and I can connect with your performance manager. We can put together a game plan for you.
Okay, that might be the best. He does respond with he's looking at date range, but like I said,
date range on which report, David?
I'll wait for him to answer on that one.
Okay. Thank you.
Let's see. Okay, while we're waiting for that one, let me see. I do have some other questions that came in through a different source. Let's see. How do I get my staff to embrace texting through the CRM and off their personal phones?
So I want you to consider, first of all, what's in it for you, so you really get passionate about this. If you're holding them accountable and you're leveraging these tools in here, you've got to make sure they're texting through VinSolutions. So some things you might consider: one, make sure they all understand how easy it is. And if they're not familiar with it, you're not familiar with it. In our training section, top right corner of Vin, right above the logout button says training, there's a great live class that you can register for. It goes a few times a week, but if you click into training and then click on the word calendar, you'll see all the live classes that we have scheduled for today and tomorrow. And then when next month starts, it'll give you like the next couple of weeks that are out there. You would just click on that mobile class and then register. You'll enroll in it. You'll get an email back with a GoToMeeting link, and you'll have a live trainer as if they were sitting right next to you, pushing buttons on a screen. They're doing it through a webinar. You get the same efforts out of it. So you might consider, one, getting your team together in a socially distanced room and let them watch the same screen, or they all log in from their own computers. Also consider this. I get the excuse all the time from salespeople that, oh, well, it's just easier to text through my phone. Well, it's not easier. It's almost habit, right? I'm just so used to clicking that green text message icon, right? That green text message tile button on my phone. Maybe you get them to move the VinSolutions mobile app tile, right? Move it right next to that text message button. Or better yet, wherever that text message button was, put it right there and then move the text message button over. So like, we're used to muscle memory. It's going to make them want to always click on that app. And then when they open it, you still have to look up the customer, type the customer's name in. I mentioned before turning on push notifications. They get their push notifications turned on whenever a text message comes in, shows up on our screen. You just click that push notification. Well, it takes you right to the customer and just start replying. So it kind of interacts the same way that your mobile device would.
Perfect. Sounds pretty simple, and I guess for visibility kind of makes sense as well, right? As far as reporting and visibility into the tool. Dave does reply, and he says in the action items, unsold leads from yesterday, would like to see a week's worth of activity. Evidently, smaller volume dealers, it's just, yeah, he's a smaller volume dealer. He'd just like to see more, a longer time frame on that report.
Yeah, right on, Dave. I can help you out with that if you're looking for like a week-long report on showroom visits. If you would, please email me and I'll connect with you and your performance manager, or just get it shared over to you so that you have it.
Perfect. Can't get any better than that, can you? Personalized service. So the next question, again from another source, would you say that the high rate of sales in 0 to 1 days on the 48-hour urgency report would be attributed to a customer's urgency to buy or a lack of follow-up from the salesperson?
So I think what we're asking here is, the reason we have so many customers in that day 0 to 1 is because our staff is not following up with customers or logging customers. I think that could be you could attribute to that, but I can tell you in the stores that I know are doing a really good job, and I look at stores all over daily, right? Even those stores have the highest percentage of sales show up in days 0 to 1. And if you are concerned about that, start digging into that coaching dashboard and looking at how many customers your team's logging and how many appointments they're making, and compare, right, how many appointments they made, how many showroom visits they made, or how many phone ups they logged, right? So you might kind of go and inspect those areas that could be identifiers to, us not logging things and showing, let's say, I don't want to say inaccurate information, but showing us a number that might be inflated. Right?
Okay, perfect. Heidi also asked, this I think I missed this one from earlier, can you talk about the difference in sold from leads and sold in time frame?
Heidi, I love this question. I answer it all the time, in fact. So sold in time frame is typically the number you all are tracking. So sold in time frame, I want to know how many internet leads I sold in the month of February, regardless of when that lead came into VinSolutions, right? Because it counts in February, sold in time frame. So if a lead started on January 31st, but sold on February 1st, that counts in February. Now, if I'm talking about sold from leads, that's saying just, hey, of the leads that started February 1 to Feb 28, how many of those leads sold? That's going to be sold from leads. So that first example that I described, it came in on January 31st, but sold on February 1st. That wouldn't count in sold from leads. And then I can look at the end of the month the same way, right? If I'm looking at past numbers, I hope I don't confuse you right now, but if I'm looking at a lead that started on February 28th, but sold on March 3rd, and I'm looking at sold from leads in February, that lead that sold on March 3rd is going to count in that February count. I hope that makes sense. And if it doesn't, feel free to reach out. We can go through it in more detail.
Okay. And I'm sure she can reply if she needs more information on that. I'm still monitoring, so we should be good. And we've got a few more minutes left as well. So Another question, with 100 plus tasks a day, how many calls should a BDC be able to make in 12 hours?
So, I mean, it really depends on the quality of the task, right? So, what are we asking from the BD agents? Are they call, emailing, texting? I think it really goes back to, what you have in your processes. I don't think there's a magic number for that. I think it's a thing where we see where they're at today, and then we see, compare with the top user versus the bottom, analyze how many hours they're working, things like that. And then consider if you wanted to break it down in calls, right? How many calls can they make in an hour? Look at their average time they're spending on a call and divide that by 60 minutes, right? And you can come up with some kind of a plan there, right? Because I know I have some stores that they don't make very many calls anymore, and all they do is text and email. And they can complete way more text and email tasks than they could ever complete as far as, picking up the phone, ring, 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 voicemail, moving on to the next one, right?
All right, that's a hard number to hit as well, because it really depends on how many business development agents you have as well, right? I mean, I worked at a store that had 5 dedicated, but then they had their sales team go in, for several hours a day, so they would have, in essence, double their, their output at that point. Is that a correct assessment, or?
You could look at it that way. You could still break it down by just individual users and see just the activity, how many things that particular person did in a day.
Okay, so output by user, and then get a benchmark from that. So
Yeah.
makes sense. Good, good. So Heidi replies, so the sold in time frame is kind of a rolling total sold that month from older leads, is the way she understands it. Does that sound correct?
So that's an accurate statement, right? So anything that's sold in time frame could have been a lead that started January, February. It could have started 6 months ago, but the date that we marked it sold in VinSolutions was between February 1 and February 25th.
Okay. Heidi, if you need more clarification, we have a few more minutes. I'm eagerly awaiting any more responses in the question window. And last one is that I have available to me right now is there a way for BD agents to use the coaching dashboard?
Oh my gosh, I failed to mention that. Yes, absolutely. Or I did mention that actually. If you remember, salespeople have access to coaching dashboard by salesperson, and then there's a coaching dashboard specifically for BD agents. It's going to work similar to what we just went through, with more of a focus on setting appointments and being able to track all of those appointments. There's actually a fun little section in there. I know, my number one section that I go to on the coaching dashboard for salesperson are those active leads with engagement, right? That's my starting point. For a BD agent, there's a section in there called active leads with engagement and no appointment set. So those folks that we haven't converted to an appointment yet, that we are talking to, that's like my hot list that I would look at as a BD agent.
Okay, good information on that.
And just like a salesperson, they should consider looking at that almost before they start doing all of their tasks. So BD agent comes in, they're going to, make sure they answer all the fresh leads, get all their replies to customers from the night before completed, and then flip over the coaching dashboard and look at those hot customers. Because as they go through that list and they start calling all of those folks, a lot of those folks are going to have tasks that are going to be in their task page anyway. So they just work that list and then go to the tasks and find like that second layer priority, if you will, of their to-dos for the day.
Okay, perfect. Last one we have, and we'll see if we have time for any more, but Joshua asks or states, we all know that phone calls have typically been most successful in getting a salesman attached to the customer. When will those appointments be able to be seen by the applicable salesperson? Right now, those appointments only show for managers and the BA agent that set the appointment.
I'm not sure I understand the question, Josh. So You're saying that a salesperson cannot see an appointment that's set for them? So
We'll wait for his, yeah, we'll wait
is
for his
there, are we
response.
not putting their name on the appointment? I think that's what you're describing. So if the BD agent stays the BD agent on the lead, you put the salesperson on the lead, and then you have build something into the process that has,
Hey,
like a
Kevin,
generic task.
hold on just a minute. So what happened was I was reading Josh's question. Heidi sent a question in, and it imposed over the top of Josh's. So I got two different questions asked there. Let me go back to Josh's question, because I'm reading it going, no, that isn't the statement or the question. So let's see. So let me start over with Josh's. We all know that phone calls have typically been most successful in getting an appointment. And you're saying that texting is more effective these days. Do you think in your exposure to other stores that texting is more important, if I understand correctly? So like, I guess that's what he's asking. Is texting become the norm these days, or the more efficient and effective way, or is sales email still effective?
Boy, Josh, I feel strongly about texting. And if I were to look at stores that are utilizing texting, so you have good data in there, or even not utilizing texting as much as they should, and if you were to analyze the number of replies, if I sent out 100 text messages today, the number of replies that I get back are typically over 50, 60% in your stores. And then maybe they won't be that high in your store. But then if you were to compare the amount of customers that you call and you actually make contact with, and again, what I'm describing right now, you can analyze through that enterprise performance report for your specific store, right? Because, I might say this generality thing of, if, texting is better than phone calls. Maybe your area it's not, right? And you can analyze those things. But what I typically see is that you get a better connection rate with texting than you do with a phone call. And consider the world that we live in now and the amount of customers that are at home working or working from home on similar meetings to this right now. So some of y'all, many y'all, all of y'all probably looked at their cell phone at some point during today's presentation. It might have even replied to 1 or 2 or 10 different people, right? So, but you may not have taken a phone call right now. I wouldn't have taken a phone call. I hope you didn't take a phone call. I hope it was engaging enough, but maybe you did. But you probably answered a text. Your customers are doing that same thing out there. And also leverage text messaging as a way to get that customer on the phone. Maybe it's, I can promise you my wife would never answer a phone call from a dealership. It's all going to be texting. But if the person that's texting said, hey, you've got a lot of great questions, can we connect for like 2 minutes so I make sure I give you the exact information you're looking for? So then we ask for permission for that phone call. We actually connect on that phone call, and then you convert the appointment from there. I hope that helped.
Okay, I like that. Now, to your example of, we should have received a text during this. I didn't. So does that mean I'm unimportant? I'm not liked? What does that mean exactly? I think I should have had at least one.
Alicia,
Okay.
please text Brent. Don't hurt feelings.
Thank you. I'd appreciate that. I want to feel included. So Heidi, so the other half of this was Heidi's. I was in the middle of reading one and it just popped up. But so she starts with, this may be a little bit off topic. When a BD agent sets an appointment, but there is a salesman attached to the customer, when will those appointments be able to be seen by the applicable salesperson? Right now, those appointments only show for managers and the BA agent that set the appointment. She has a follow-up on that. It says the appointment only shows for the person who created it. If the BD agent sets the appointment and does not set it under their name, it does not show their numbers. So our BD agents set the appointments in their name and assign a salesperson to the customer. However, since the appointment is set in the BD agent's name, it does not show on the salesperson's calendar.
Oh, on their calendar. So I'll have to get back to you on that one, Heidi. I'll hold on to that question for you and find an answer for you. Something that you might consider doing though is having in your appointment set process, right? Whoever's assigned to that appointment, if you put like a generic task in there or something along those lines. So I'm a BD agent. I set the appointment for Kevin. While I'm making the appointment, I put the lead in Kevin's name, and then I have a process that says, 5 minutes after the appointment gets set, something happens, right? And that something would be like a generic task to fire. Maybe have a generic task fire in the process as well, a couple hours ahead of time, the salesperson.
Okay, like I say, you have Kevin's email there if you want to follow up with him. This will also go out as a report, and we'll pull questions off of those as well. And many ask questions after the presentation is over. So one last comment, actually. Larry states, I think texting is a good bridge to get the customer on the phone or in front of us. Customers will read the text immediately, which is kind of to your point. Other than I didn't get one, so okay. And then so Joshua just answers yes, which I'm not sure if he means I'm unimportant because I didn't get a text, or he was agreeing with your commentary. So anyways, that takes us right up to 11:01. We're a minute over, so we appreciate your participation and always appreciate your partnership in this. Again, you will receive a survey at the close of this presentation. Please fill that out and send it back. We live on those things. It helps us to improve our product and our delivery and our content. So any commentary you would like to add, we'd appreciate. And again, as a follow-up, there will be an encore presentation of this on March 23rd at 2 p.m. Eastern. So thank you. And everyone, please have a good day.
Thank you all so much.